before I start, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Simon and all of his team for inviting me here today, and thank you to McQueen as well for putting on such a fantastic event for you guys as well. I think the other thing for me to say as well, and this will be apparent when I talk to you about my story, is that I'm actually quite a local guy myself. I was born and raised in northwest London in South Ruislip. I lived in South Ruislip for around 18 years, and I come from a very humble background actually. My dad's a milkman. He's been a milkman for the last 42 years. My mum is, she works as a receptionist, and I've got an older sister also who's in administration as well. So I don't really come from say a well-groomed background, should we say. I've recently built a recruitment agency on site at Harrow College, based around giving youngsters, and this is my business by the way, Royal Talent Academy, giving youngsters the opportunity to not necessarily gain your 1 week or 2 weeks work experience, which some of you business owners will give, but to actually give them employability skills that they need to go into the workforce. So that's part of what I do. But the main aspect of our business, Royal Talent Academy, is to actually build sales academies into businesses to create the next sales superstars, and effectively in the next generation. A lot of people will judge me based on the fact that I lied on my CV. I lied on my CV back in 2008 in front of 11 million people. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't recommend it. But the reason why I bring that up is because I've now based a business or built a business based on the fact that you don't need to have fantastic qualifications in order to be successful. And as you can see by the slide, when I was 17, after staying on a year at sixth form at Queensmead School, some of you may know. Okay, you do. Oh, hello, a few of you. I left school with a BTEC first in information technology. Reason for me staying on at school, I don't really know, to be honest. Like a lot of youngsters, maybe some of the audience have got daughters, sons, cousins, whatever it might be. Some of you might be, just out of school yourselves or coming out of university. There's a lot of people that don't know what they want to do out there. I mean, I was no different. My GCSE grades were really poor. I got one C grade I got one C grade, so one grade A to C, and the rest were D's, E's, and F's. And again, I don't bring it up because I'm proud of it, because I'm not. But I bring it up because that's the reason why I lied on my CV. I would ask any of you to ask yourselves the question, privately of course, how many of you have a complex about something? Well, my complex that I'm sharing with all you today is the fact that I had a bad education and I didn't get on very well academically. My parents split up when I was 17, and they sold the family home for obvious reasons. And my mum said, look, you've got to go out. I didn't have a bad childhood, I've already said that, but she said, look, you've got to go out and fend for yourself now as a 17-year-old. And I was renting a studio flat, about 450, I know exactly how much it was, £452 a month, and a studio flat, and I was just wasting my money. So I thought to myself, what's the best way to take myself, I'm in an adverse situation, as the graphic suggests, if you can see it. I felt like my hands were in chains. I felt like I was going to be a prisoner. So what's the best way for me to try and make good of a bad situation? So for me, it was about getting a mortgage and trying to invest that money. Being a cheeky chap here as I am, as I said before, went to bank manager and he said, look, of course I'm not going to give you just a mortgage like that. Of course I'm not. Anyone working in finance here will be, there's a few financial consultants around. They would know that. So I said, well, what do I need to do? Give me a goal or give me an objective of what I need to do and I will go and achieve it. And he said, you need to make X amount of revenue, which is what I did. So I took 2 jobs. I worked 7 days a week, I worked Saturdays, I worked Sundays, and I worked hard enough in order for me to make the money to go and get a mortgage. So by the time I was 18, I actually got that mortgage. Then I found this industry called recruitment. And I thought, wow, what's this recruitment industry all about? It's an opportunity for me to be able to build relationships with people. I'm good at that. It's an opportunity for me to be able to sell. I'm good at that. And actually, it's an opportunity for me to be able to earn money and find people jobs. I'm really good at that as well. So I gave it a go, and I started off at the bottom on the ladder. And as the slide suggests, 12 years later, I'm still in the recruitment industry. I've spent 8 years as an employer within recruitment. And at the time of me leaving my previous employer before The Apprentice, my business turned over 32 million quid. How many of you watched The Apprentice? Always a nerve-wracking question. It's good. Most of you do, which is fantastic. As I said before, I won it in 2008. Now the thing about The Apprentice is it's not real business life. I think we all get that. But there's a lot of people, a lot of questions that always ask me is, how can you do this and how can you go through that? It's not real. You know, the fact of the matter is, I look at The Apprentice and look at it as a job interview. It is a job interview from hell. It's a giant assessment centre. What Lord Sugar's doing, or what Lord Sugar's creating, is he's putting the best, or what he feels is the best top 16 candidates out of my series. There was 20,000 candidates that applied, and I got into the top 16. And what he did was he pits your wits against you and puts you through different tasks to assess what you're good at. There's a question, I don't know if it's changed now, but there's a question on the Apprentice application which says, how will you be Sir Alan's next apprentice? Because of course he was Sir Alan then, back in my day. And I actually remember writing down, I filled out application form out, writing down, I will win by working hard, being a team player, and making sure that I build relationships with the people that are around me, and making sure that I actually contribute. So my strategy, or my plan, was simple. Don't get fired in the first week, because what a waste. You know, what a waste of an opportunity. Obviously somebody has to get fired in the first week, and it ain't gonna be me. And I suppose the second piece was work hard, build them relationships, and effectively be a team player, because I felt that if I could contribute, if I could work hard and make sure that I had something that I always contributed to, then I wouldn't get fired. And actually, I only lost 3 tasks. I won 8 tasks, more than anyone else in my series, and I'm the only one in 8 series, or 7.5 series of the UK that has never been in the final 3 of the boardroom. So for those of you who watch The Apprentice, what does that mean? It means I cannot get fired. Now, it's a simple equation. If you don't get into the final 3, you cannot be fired. How many times have we been in a situation where we need to face our fear? How many people have got a fear in the room? Oh, there's a few more hands going up now, I like that. Look, I don't care whether your fear is that you need to sell, whether your fear is a presentation, whether your fear is a spider in the bath. Face that fear and do it anyway. It's so much rewarding if you go and just push through and make sure you come outside of your comfort zones. Facing your fear means that you are coming outside your comfort zone, and it's called a comfort zone. Why? Because you are comfortable, and it's about challenging yourself and putting your head above the parapet and saying to yourself, I want to get better, and in order for me to get better, I need to push myself. In order for me to get better, in order for my business to grow, we need to push it. Sometimes we need to take a risk, sometimes we need to push our boundaries ourselves. So it's really important. I'll give you an example. For me in The Apprentice, it was about, I suppose, leaving all my inhibitions at home effectively and showing everybody my hand. Yes, I put myself on the line. You know, you put yourself out there. That's what you do. And I pushed myself. And the only reason why I'm standing here talking to you is because I went on The Apprentice. You know, if I hadn't been on The Apprentice, Simon wouldn't have invited me here. Although I could have given you an insight into the rest of my working life and my background just as well. But the fact is, it boosted me and it showcased me and gave me exposure that I never normally would have had. Until you push yourself, until you push them boundaries, how do you know what you can achieve? I think it's really important that we think about what is potential, what our potential is, not only as individuals, but as organisations, and also at what our staff are actually doing as well. And the moment we start to push them boundaries is the moment that we start to see different and hopefully better results. So I want you to think about your goals. I know it sounds trivial, and I'm going back on it. It's not even, you know, it's not rocket science, it's common sense. If you've got a goal, if you haven't got a goal, why not? How do you keep yourself motivated? If your staff haven't got goals, how are you keeping them motivated? Because you're making your job harder for you. It's a little boy like me leaving school with no qualifications. You know, I got by, and I've done all right. Not bad for a council man, right? Council boy over in northwest London, I've done all right. But I made itself harder because I didn't study. It's a little bit like you guys, you're making itself harder if you haven't got yourself goals. How are you going to achieve? And it's the same with your staff. It's setting yourself objectives, thinking about knowledge, thinking about your competitors as well. A few of you guys put your hands up in terms of competitor analysis. I'm not suggesting that you go back and spend 5 hours doing competitor analysis. It's just, you know, quick bullet points of information. Bang, I know what they're doing. I'm abreast of that type of situation. Massively important. And to be passionate, you know, probably finally for me, to be passionate about what you do. If you want to speak to someone, if you want to build them relationships, if you want to have that networking opportunity, let's talk about our business, let's talk about ourselves passionately and what we believe in. Because there's only one person that knows in the room whether or not you're going to be successful, whether or not you're going to be able to achieve, and that's not me, that's you guys. That's only you will only know whether how far you can take something. I find my experience being passionate and enthusiastic and all of the kind of common attributes, that's what's going to make a difference in you growing or sustaining your business levels. Okay, thank you very much.